What's going on, everyone? Welcome to today's weather outlook for Saturday, April 15th, 2023. Today we're going to take a look at the severe weather threats for today. Also a shower and thunderstorm threat in the mid-Atlantic region and southern New England. And then we are going to take a look at a long-range cool down in the east. Yep, it's possible, despite how hot it's been, there could be a long-range cool down. Alright, taking a look at the satellite picture here, you can see that tropical disturbance that came out of the Gulf earlier this week, it's still spinning here on the satellite, and it's over Pennsylvania, and it's going to cause showers and thunderstorms today. Some places where some training could occur, there could be localized 2-inch amounts. Down here in Louisiana, we do have this cluster of thunderstorms that has developed this morning, and it's going to result in an area of convection and the potential for flooding in New Orleans area. There's actually flood watches up there. Here we watch a system that's in the plains right now. There's going to be a trailing cold front with this system, and this system is going to produce some severe weather today, but it's actually also going to eventually develop into an area of low pressure and develop some snows on the backside of it in the plains and the Great Lakes. Yes, there's actually winter storm watches up. I'll show you that in a moment. Let's take a look here at the national radar picture. You can see we do have some showers headed towards Seattle, Washington today, which that has been the trend there for multiple days where these disturbances come on. You can see our spin here in the atmosphere in the Dakotas. That's our system that we're watching. Here's our boundary down here, just west of Arkansas and Missouri. That's going to develop a line of thunderstorms later on. If we zoom in, you can see our heavy rainfall in Louisiana this morning. It's relatively impressive. And you can still see the spin here in Pennsylvania, which is what's left of the tropical system, and I'll show you here on radar scope. Look at this. There's actually some heavy rainfall that's setting up. It still has that spin that's going because it was once a tropical-like system that exited the Gulf of Mexico earlier this week. We'll see some more thunderstorms pop up ahead of this in northeast Maryland, Delaware, New Jersey, southeast Pennsylvania, Philadelphia. You could see some showers and thunderstorms. Today, moving on to the national hazards map. Yes, winter storm watches are up for portions of Wisconsin, southeast Minnesota, and western Michigan. The National Weather Service is actually going with 4 to 8 inches with even localized higher amounts, which, again, this is April 15th, and we're still talking about potential for snow. And, oh, take a look at this. Portions of Colorado, yes, those are winter weather advisories. Down here in Texas, yep, those are freeze warnings that are up. So, it's crazy. And to think, just yesterday in Hartford, Connecticut at the airport, they had a temperature that actually went up to 95 degrees, or at least as of 3 o'clock yesterday, that's what I saw. Yeah, that is just crazy for April 15th. Moving on to the Storm Prediction Center, we do have some storm reports from yesterday. There was a cluster in the plains, Central Plains. There was another cluster of wind and hail reports in North Carolina, one hail report in Tennessee, 2 wind reports in Florida, and there were some wind reports in Colorado. Moving on for today, just 1 hail report so far in Missouri, and we expect to see more reports pop up today because it's an enhanced risk day. From Louisiana through Arkansas, through Missouri into Illinois, wind, hail are the biggest threats, though there is also the possibility of a tornado or two. All modes of severe weather are possible for today. Let's take a look at the percentages. Tornado, it's 5% chance. Springfield, Little Rock, Arkansas, Shreveport, Louisiana, you're right on the borderline of 5%, but anywhere surrounding here, there is the 2% chance on either side of 25 miles. Wind, 30% chance in Little Rock, Arkansas, Springfield, Jefferson, this is where the enhanced risk area is. Shreveport, you're right on the borderline for that. Hail, there's actually a hatched risk of hail today from Shreveport through Little Rock, Springfield, Jefferson. In these areas, that's probably the biggest threat of today is going to be large hail. Then as it forms into a squall line, it will shift over to a wind threat. And we will time this out for you on the HER model in a moment. Marginal risk of excessive rainfall in Pennsylvania today from the tropical disturbance. Slight risk of excessive rainfall in Louisiana, even in portions of Mississippi and extreme southern Alabama. Then a marginal risk all the way up through to Wisconsin. Alright, let's time out today's severe weather on the HRRR model, and we'll look at the other stuff as well. As you can see here, as we get into the afternoon, you do see showers and thunderstorms become more numerous in Pennsylvania. And I do want to draw your attention to, look what it's showing for right now. It's just showing some light to maybe potentially steady showers. You saw radar. Here's radar again. Radar's a bit more impressive than that, so we'll have to watch what happens there this afternoon because it's showing a pretty good size eruption of the activity as we head into the afternoon. Here's that system down in Louisiana. That spreads east. It does impact the portions of the Florida Panhandle as well. And then this afternoon, you can see some showers and thunderstorms get going well ahead of the squall line in places like Kentucky, and that's a wild card. The models are in disagreement what's going to happen in western Kentucky and Tennessee, but all the models are in agreement of a squall line setting up from Illinois back down through to Louisiana, and even some storms popping up in Texas. It wouldn't surprise me. And this squall line will probably develop around the 5 o'clock to 7 o'clock hour. It will get east, but once it crosses east of the Mississippi River, it should start to lose its punch. A side note, that system that's in Louisiana now, it will continue towards the Florida Panhandle, but as it gets on to northern Florida, say like Jacksonville, it will be at a much weakened state. This squall line, once it gets east of the Mississippi, it will lose its punch as we lose the daytime heating. This is not the best setup in the world, but the setup is there for hail. And there's going to be some big-time hail producers with this initially when it gets going. Then you can see this continues east. Taking a look up here in the northwest, you're going to have showers all day. And here's tonight, overnight tonight, showers will continue. Overnight tonight, the system over Pennsylvania, it will go off the Boston coast, the Massachusetts coast, and even Rhode Island. And it still may present a few showers tomorrow for Maine. The system from today, look what happens here. It actually develops an area of low pressure. And yes, Iowa, Minnesota, even into Wisconsin. You're seeing here on the HRRR model, it is showing snowfall. But I will tell you this, the HRRR model is a bit west with the snow axis. It really focuses more on Iowa and Minnesota. But watch what happens as we head into tomorrow afternoon. You can see the system gets stronger. And look at this. Yes, you're talking moderate to heavy bands of snow. Maybe even some mixed sleet in between. It's possible. Tomorrow there's another marginal severe weather risk that sets up, and I will show you that on a day 2 outlook. Generally from the Great Lakes all the way down into Florida, we could see somewhat of a squall line get going. Not going to be super impressive, but I think it's enough that somewhere within this, it could get upgraded to a slight risk for wind potential, and maybe even some hail potential as well. Tornado potential as of right now is below 2%. Continuing with the HRRR model, you can see that it does set up tomorrow. There's going to be showers. Originally, we thought this would be a big event, but as you can see here, the area of low pressure, it just remains so far west that it's not going to be a classic setup for severe weather in the mid-Atlantic region. And these snow showers actually come down into Chicago, Green Bay, all these areas. Sunday, even into Monday, you're going to see very windy conditions. Winds gusting 40 to 50 miles per hour because you're talking about a load that's down to 99 millibars, and you're looking at snow showers. So Chicago White Sox and the Phillies, yeah, there's a game there on Monday. It's possible there's snow showers going during that game. And with that being said, they may even postpone that game because that's not baseball weather at all. We've seen them postpone for snow situations before. Alright, moving on to the GFS, and there's something really interesting I want to show you here. Let's go into the longer range forecast, shall we? Here's that system. Here's as we get into next week. A brief warm-up comes again in the northeast and into the southeast, but I say keyword brief because by the time we get to the end of next week, look what happens here. Another area of low pressure over the Great Lakes. Yes, another snow threat. And watch what happens behind this system. It actually brings down a trough, and a relatively impressive trough. And you can see here, it starts to get relatively active on the East Coast. The GFX actually tries to develop a coastal system that becomes a rather large nor'easter. Here's why this is actually possible. The GEFS can predict different oscillations. This one that I'm showing you here is the NAO, North Atlantic Oscillation, and it actually goes negative for the rest of April. And there's some members that are saying it'll be positive, but a large majority and the mean say it's going to be negative. When you have a negative when you have this in the negative territory, it represents a blocking pattern. So with this blocking pattern setting up, yes, you have the potential for below average temperatures in the east, and even this monster nor'easter that's on the GFS, though I'll tell you this, the next one's going to show something different, but the point being made is that there is the potential for a cool down in the east. It's going to be completely different. You won't see 95 degrees in Hartford, Connecticut again. You're actually going to end up seeing temperatures below average to end this month. And as of right now, I'm in favor of that happening. Remember 12 days ago when I called for this warm-up? Well, now I'm calling for a complete different ending to this month. And we'll see what happens. In between, there could be some stormy setups as well. As you can see here in the long-range GFS, when you get these big troughs slicing into, the warmth that's in the south, you will get some moisture ahead of that, and it will result in some severe weather setups. All right, taking a look at the latest precipitation expected over the next 7 days. And you can see the wettest area is going to be right through the Great Lakes in the Midwest with that system. You also have another wet area in the upper Northwest, and then you have down here across Louisiana where 2 to 3 inches of rainfall is expected. Wouldn't surprise me if there's isolated 4-inch amounts. And you can see 1 inch to 1.5 inches in Pennsylvania. Again, would not surprise me if there's isolated 2-inch amounts in those shower areas. And after that, it's going to be a relatively quiet week in the Northeast, though Monday and Tuesday is going to be very windy, and there may even be lake effect snow showers in western New York and northwest Pennsylvania. As crazy as that sounds after the heat that you just had. 6 to 10 day temperature outlook. Below average temperatures for the northern plains and through the northwest. Still going to be above average in the east, though not as warm as we have seen. And if you look in the southwest, you do see the above average temperatures there. Beyond that brief warm up in the east, watch what happens. Yes, the below average temperatures start to set in. The climate prediction centers starting to show it now. And I think eventually we'll see this below average axis shift over to the northeastern states in the coming days if this negative NAO really does pan out. Taking a look in the Four Corners region, above average temperatures. Florida, above average temperatures for you as well. And the Northwest, below average temperatures. 6 to 10 day temperature, 6 to 10 day precipitation. Continuing to be dry and below average in California. You have really turned the corner now into a drier pattern. Above average precipitation continues in the Northwest, the central regions, and down in Florida. And on the 8 to 14 day outlook, slightly above average in the east, slightly above average in the west, and below average precipitation in the Midwest. Alrighty, that does it for today's weather outlook. If you enjoyed this content, give it a thumbs up. If you want to see more content like this, hit the subscribe button down below. I'll see you all again next time. We'll have another update again tomorrow. We may do a short update later today if the severe weather threat does really take off. Alrighty, thanks for watching. Have a great day.